Right. That looks better, hopefully. So we'll see what happens. Third time lucky, as they say. Third time's the charm. Let's just see if it's going live okay. Right, I can see everything popping up at the side. Right, comments coming up. Right, cool. I can see people. Good night, mate. Go to bed then. Come on. I know. Right, good. Third time lucky. Hello, good evening. I don't know what's going on. I was having some internet issues. I've restarted my computer. That seems fine. You missed a little shouting match going on up there between my children, so that's probably not a bad thing. So let's try this again. Donna, Laura, Morris, Teresa, Steve, Louise, Dennis, Laura, Teresa. Cool. Right, good. Right, I'm not going to make my screen big because whenever I make my screen big, it seems to suddenly just go out. So I'll keep it small. So a tiny little Joel in the corner, which is how he should be, really. Good evening, Chris. Hello, everybody. So let me just settle into this, and I'm good to go. You can see I've moved. I've moved today, so I'm in my dining room, really. It's all kind of open plan, so it's not really a separate room. It overlooks the lounge. I might spin you around in a second, give you a tour. But yeah, it's because the office is over the other side of the kitchen, and it's really cold in there. It's an old house with really big, thick walls. It's like being in a prison, basically, temperature-wise. But we've got a really big log burner over there. Delaney made it earlier, so it's really nice and warm in here. So I thought I'd sit in here and do it. Morris, because I closed the curtains and interrupted the signal, probably. What's up, mate? Go to bed. Go on. Right. Okay. Time to get started. So one thing I am going to talk about later is my 5, although I don't really have a 5, my 10 and my 15-year plan. So I'm going to talk about those. I've got a 10, a 15, and up to kind of a 20-year plan, really. So I'm going to talk about those maybe in a little while, which doesn't really live up to the idea of unplanned, unprepared, and unscripted because it's a kind of a bit of a plan and stuff like that. Shall I pick up on the production very quickly? Should we talk about that? I can't see any of my guys on here watching at the moment. I might try, I don't know, I'll try and make this big. I don't want it to naff up, and if it naffs up, I won't be able to bring it back. So I might just leave it, but I can't see any of them on here. Let's have a quick look and see if they can see them viewing. No, I can't see them, so I think I'm all good. So maybe I'll give a little sneak peek of the production this evening. I can't say what it is. I can't say who's in it. Bear with me 2 seconds. Jonah, go to bed. Come on. I don't know where the remote is, do you? It's under the books. Yeah, naff up, Donna. That means like it goes wrong, basically. I'm from the country. I'm allowed to say things like that. Okay, so production-wise. So, right, I need to be careful about what I say and what I don't say. They have started doing the dressing. So spent probably now, where are we? Thursday. So started Tuesday. So spent 3 days now dressing the prison, painting the prison, and it looks completely different. Reception looks different. So reception looks different. The wings look different. They dropped off a load of props today, so that looks amazing. The team have been really busy this week themselves. Jonah, can you stop, please? Go to bed. Kids. So yeah, it looks very different. Lots has come in. The team have done loads of work. They've deep cleaned the entire restaurant. So that's all been done. We've started work on a new ticket office/visitor centre. We've got the gates back in the hoarding, which has made our lives so much easier because now we can just drive straight into the prison. We've cleared up around the back by Sea Wing, so we've got ready to load the Budlier and restacked all the bricks and all the slabs, and now we've got nice parking spaces inside. Took some of the house fencing down, moved bits and pieces around. So yeah, it's looking really, really good. And lots more to happen. We've still got another week and a half, well, week and a day of dressing, and then filming will start shortly after that. So that's all looking good. There's a fair bit of the prison dentist being used, absolutely. Yeah, a good chunk of A wing, bit of C wing, some other areas. I can't really talk much more than that really at this stage. Yes, Delaney. You did help. You came and helped yesterday, didn't you? You came and helped move bricks, didn't you? No, no. So yeah, so it's all good. So that's production world. So we'll move on from that. I was chatting to the production team today, to the directors, first ads, location guys, and stuff like that. Just going through a few final bits with them. But Lauren's really taking on most of that, which is good. So that's that. Um, what's next? I was teasing doing a live tomorrow night. I was considering going into the prison and doing a live tomorrow evening. Lauren and Stacey unfortunately aren't around, and that kind of made me go, oh, I'm not sure I want to do one by myself. As I'm sure you can appreciate why I don't want to do a live all by myself. But then actually I'm going to end up going in on Saturday evening. We've got Most Haunted. I'm going to make my screen bigger and hopefully this won't go wrong. So if it does, I'll try and fix it, but we'll see what happens. Okay, that's looking okay. Good. Okay. So yeah, I was thinking about doing a live tomorrow night. Gary got all the kit back out for me, and it's all running fine. But yeah, I've got to go in Saturday evening. I'm going to probably spend most of the night at the prison on Saturday. Most Haunted there all night, so I think I'll stay there with those guys and with Barry. So yeah, that's one of the other reasons why I wasn't going to do it, because otherwise I've got to do 2 nights on the road back to back, and it's that's 2 late ones really. So yeah, Lauren, so so Lauren a bacon sandwich. So how do I put this one? So I have different ways that I work and deal and mentor and develop different people in my teams. And one of the things that I wanted to do with Lauren the other day, so she had a really early start, I mean, cracking early start, and all of my guys work really hard all the time generally. And Lauren had been doing a really good job of late getting all the production going. It's a big ask for her to get all this turned around, change the way all of her staff work, changing everything around the production and all the customers, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so she was in really early. I think she was in sort of like 6 in the morning type of stuff the other day. So I thought it'd be really nice to go in and make her breakfast. So I got up and I went in about 6:30, I think it was, to go and fire up the panini machines and stuff like that, and the griddles, and basically make her breakfast. So I made a bacon baps Laura and I had together. I think it was Wednesday, might Tuesday or Wednesday. And we did that. I think it was Tuesday. So it was just a nice thing to do, just to go in and basically just make her breakfast. So yeah, so that was the other day. So that's what the bacon sandwich is about. And I like to do kind of things like that. I might go and turn these lights off in a sec. So it's just glinting right at me. I'll be back 2 seconds. Sorry, there's just 2 lights just over there. It's glaring straight at my eyes. Um, so yeah, that was the other day. Let's have a quick look. Right. I had a good night with Most Haunted the other night, Dan. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So yes, that's been it. And really, I've been relishing this week in the not having anything to do every day. It's been really bizarre week. Obviously, as you know, I handed over last week and the weeks before that all my jobs, and really this week has just been kind of settling into not having anything to do on a day-to-day basis. So I've got bits to do, but I kind of just milling around this week. Next week I'm going to be a lot more structured, but this week I was just kind of taking it in my stride, not putting too much pressure on myself or anyone else, and just kind of going with it really. So yeah, so that's what I did this week. Tomorrow I'm actually working from home. So I've got some meetings tomorrow. I'm trying to think what I'm meeting about. Various different bits and pieces, nothing too exciting. And then, yeah, getting ready for the weekend. I'm in early Saturday. Going to meet with Mr. G because he's off down to Shepton for a day or so. Next week, I think he is. It's his birthday next week. So Graham's birthday on Thursday. And he's actually heading down to Shepton for his birthday to see the team down there, which is good of him. And then I'm trying to think what's happening then. Got Paranormal's next weekend. Production's obviously in Prison Break, so that's a big one. Um, but yeah, so nice people with holiday and stuff. Do you feel lost not being at the prison? Well, I've been at the prison this week. Tomorrow I won't be there, and actually it's quite nice to work the odd day from home. I don't have to get up as early or anything like that, and I can just literally come downstairs and work just down in my office. I do get dressed though. A lot of people I know who are sort of working from home don't necessarily get dressed. I do get dressed. I like to get up and do that. Um, but yeah, just a slightly different structure for my day tomorrow. And I quite liked doing bits from home because I didn't get disturbed as much. Being at the jail, I got disturbed an awful lot. Um, but now that I've rejigged my job roles, I don't really get disturbed. Lauren gets disturbed, or Charlie gets disturbed, or Harry, or whoever it is in the rest of the team. So that's worked for me. I think I might shave tomorrow. I think I might cut my beard back down because it has got really really long and quite grey. So I might do that tomorrow. Yes, Morris, Mr. G Senior's birthday next Thursday when he comes down. So I'd also like to point out I wasn't late today before anybody flags that. I was on time and my internet connectivity did not work properly. So I've got a lot to talk about next week, I know, because there's a couple of things that I can't talk about today because we're not allowed to announce until tomorrow. Um, but so apologies, I can't do that. But yeah, some really good stuff with funding and bits and pieces like that. So I'm going to talk about that next week. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of it really. I'll talk in a second about my 10-year plan. I'm just going to answer Laurie's question, get myself comfortable, so I'm all settled in. How do I focus at home with the kids at home? Well, basically we just stick them in the basement. It's that simple. No, we're fortunate in the sense of we've got quite a big house. It's quite a large footprint. So actually, the office is the other side of the kitchen, which is over there, and the home ed room is the other side of the lounge, which is over there. So they're literally opposite ends of the house. And it's not a small house. I mean, I'm not here to boast, but it's not a small house. So in that sense, you can be that end in the office and that end in the home ed room, and you just do not hear each other at all. You can all have music playing and blaring, and it's just you just don't notice each other. So that's how I get on with that. And also, if they disturb me, I scream at them, I shout at them, I hit them with a great big stick, and then they go away. So, so that's how. They actually came and helped yesterday. So the beauty of home edding is we can structure our days how we want to. So yesterday there was a good team of people in the prison doing different bits outside and inside. Emma came in with the kids and they helped shift a load of bricks. So moving bricks, they were sweeping floors, they were picking up weeds, they were chucking stuff in skips. So they did about 5 hours of work yesterday, manual labour, which is how they earn their money. If they want to make money, that's how they do it. They don't get pocket money, they have to do jobs just like everybody else in the real world. Might sound a little bit harsh because they're 9 and 7, but they get a decent wage. They do okay out of it, and they don't have to pay any tax or national insurance, so they do all right there. They get cash in hand, so it's off the books. So yeah, so they don't do too bad, I don't think. Um, so yeah, so that was yesterday. Okay, right. Before I get cracking, any questions? Anything burning questions for me today that people have come up with in the last week or seen? Um, do you know what, Dennis? The trouble with putting my kids in a prison cell is they understand prison is where bad people go. Like when they break the law, they understand that's the punishment. But they do see the prison they see it as an attraction, a tourist attraction. So for them, it's not scary in quite the same way as it is for most people, which is really interesting to see. I think if you compared my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old with a normal 7-year-old and 9-year-old, who I say normal, with a 7-year-old and 9-year-old who haven't grown up in prison, you got to remember that these two have grown up for the last 5 years in jail. So when we first took over the prison, Jonah was 2 and Delaney was 4. So they've grown up just knowing the inside of a prison. They're so comfortable with it. We walk in, they're just gone. And they play hide and seek all around the entire site. They play hide and seek with Lauren and Stacey's kids, and all sorts of games like that. And it's just second nature to them. They just don't even concern themselves with it being cells. And we see kids coming in on tours, and oh my God, they're so nervous and so worried about going to the cells and things like that. They get scared. And my kids just think it's a giant playground, effectively. So yeah, it's that wouldn't deter them really going into a cell. And I think Harry Potter kind of ruined that for a lot of people. They made under the stairs living kind of cool, which is put a damper on it for us parents being able to put the kids under the stairs now. So sorry, I'm being really harsh on my children today. Thanks. Um, okay, right. And for the lack of there being any questions or burning things for this week, and I'm just having a quick look on the comments, make sure I've not missed anything. Oh, Jeff. I said last week about I'm a celebrity in a prison. Why don't you moot the idea with TV? I have done. I've tweeted them. I've sent it to them. It's hard to kind of get them sort of thinking like that. But feel free, guys. If you wanna tweet ITV and I'm a celebrity and say you should be doing this in prison and you go Shrewsbury, then be my guest. Absolutely. Laurie's asked if my children ever accidentally shut themselves in a cell. No, only Lauren does that. Lauren is the only person that accidentally shuts herself in cells. The kids haven't done it. So yeah, that's it. Right. Okay, so I had a couple of meetings this week over the last 7 days since we last did Join Joel. I had a couple of meetings. One of which was with a financial planner, somebody that works with our accountants or part of our accountancy firm, not my accountancy firm, the accountants we use. And so I had a conversation with them about financial planning, which was specifically around what we're going to do with finances through the business, how we reinvest those in different ways. And I really wanted, as I've been talking about a lot, about getting the incubation hub set up. And part of the incubation hub is at the side of it, we need to invest, we need to set up the investment business. So it's about how we maneuver money from one place to another to be able to pump it into other businesses and other people's businesses through the investment fund. So we've been having those kind of conversations. So I'm kind of neither here nor there. But during that conversation, the financial planner basically said to me, he goes, "Okay, can you give me a plan? Can you give me sort of like, the next 12 months, what that looks like, the next 5 years, 10 years, so on and so forth, just so he could help scale it out." So I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And I went, okay, so here's my plan for a year, 10 years, 15 years, up to kind of 20 years. And I'm going to tell you what that plan is in a second. The other thing was I had a meeting then yesterday again with a completely different meeting. Somebody from the council in Shropshire, really nice lady, just talking about, again, it was around about investments, what we're investing into the buildings, what we're going to do with it, how it's going to embed into Shrewsbury and Shropshire, and sort of how it ties in with other things basically. And she was just curious as well, sort of what the next year looks like for the business, what the next 5 years looks like, and kind of where we go from there. So I went through it. The plan kind of involves castles. So I turned around to both of them. Okay, so the next year basically looks like this. Obviously, COVID recovery, that's a given. So COVID recovery, rebalancing our books, making sure we achieve the targets we've set out, pushing to achieve the targets. We've restructured our targets slightly from COVID. It's not a huge drop, but there is a drop for this financial year, and basically pressing that through. Making sure we achieve those. And I was like, and then over the next 10 years, my plan is to grow from where we are now, which is that 1.4 million catchment basically in terms of our income, to 100 million. So that's the plan. So 1.4 up to our 100 million turnover and such over the next 10 years. And that's fine. They kind of go, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's a big goal, huge goal, but it's absolutely fine. It's doable. And I spoke a little bit about how I was going to do some of those, especially with the financial advisor, about where I was going to put different things and how I saw that growth. And I had a very similar conversation with the bank manager back in January. I don't know if you remember me saying, and he just couldn't get it at all. He just couldn't understand how I was going to do it. And the fact that I had was like 1 million to 100 million, and my plan was, well, I'll just make 99 million more. It's that simple. So yeah, so doing that, so that was fine. I said, and then basically that takes me up to 47, and I plan on spending the next 4 years from 47 to 51 positioning myself to run for prime minister, and then elected prime minister at 51. And that was kind of the look I got, which was okay. That's wasn't expecting that one. So how much hair stuff. So there wasn't kind of expecting that one, but really pleased. He took it completely in his stride, and the lady I met with yesterday, she took it completely in her stride. And they're the first two people that I've said that to. They've just gone, okay, and they've moved on, and they haven't gone, you what? What do you mean you're going to run for prime minister? Because it seems such a strange thing to so many people to do that, and that was it. And my 10-year goal is to build the businesses that we currently have, expanding, growing in various different areas. And I couldn't even tell you exactly where those are going to be yet because I just don't know. I've got a plan for the next few months and the next year and stuff like that. But who knows where that journey will take me? And that's the fun of it. That's the beauty of it. So that's the plan for the next 10 years, grow up to 100 million. And then basically from the age of 47, start maneuvering myself into a position to start running for prime minister, to go for election around the age of 51. Do at least a term, possibly 2 terms, but at least a term, but ideally 2 terms. That'll take me up to, well, it depends on how you call elections. That'll take me to sort of the 59, sort of 60 kind of age bracket. And then I'll go from there. I haven't really planned it from that point onwards, really. Who knows where I'll go? But yeah, so that was kind of the plan, and it's an interesting one to say because I've been thinking about that for a long time, for a number of years, about the prime minister side of things, and it's weird when you say it to people that you're gonna you want to be prime minister, and they kind of laugh and joke it off, and you know that's absolutely fine, and you're like, yeah, but I'm serious, and they're like, okay. And I was chatting to my cousin and his wife the other day, and I was talking to them about it, and I was saying to them about doing it. She was like, okay, which party are you going to run for? Like, which side are you? You're Labour, are you Conservative, are you Liberal? I said, no, I'm in the middle. And she's like, okay, what do you mean in the middle? I said, I sit very firmly in the middle. I can kind of put a foot in either camp, but I am literally in the centre. And she was like, so how are you going to get elected? Because that's not going to work. I was like, oh yeah, we've got to do electoral reform. And she was like, you just say it so casually as if like it's just, just sign a piece of paper and off we go, electoral reform. I was like, well, it's a long time, so much can happen in 10 years, so many changes. So yeah, that was kind of the thing, and I couldn't even tell people exactly how I'm going to do it yet. But I know it's possible. I absolutely know it's possible, and that's the play. That's what I want to do, and that's the direction I'm going, basically. And we'll see where we get to. Like I say, the fun is in the journey, not in the destination. But I have a very strong opinion of what it takes to be prime minister, what the job entails. And again, people look at me very strangely because I say, well, being prime minister it's not a complicated job. I'm not saying it's an easy job, but it's not complicated. And I think what happens is, certainly, prime ministers of the past and even current prime ministers, they make it complicated. And my plan is to make it simple because I think it is. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm sure that's fired up some questions. I've not been reading them, so I'm just going to have a quick look at the questions, or the comments rather, I should say. Plans involve castles, yeah, definitely Campbell Castle. Campbell Castle, that's amazing. I said to Lauren earlier, we were chatting in the week, and I was like, oh yeah, governor of a prison and king of a castle. And she had a huge eye roll. Yeah, I'd love to buy a Shepton. I know that's on the list. Diane, you thought I was joking. I'm deadly, I swear, honest to God. I mean, I don't believe in God particularly, but honestly, that is the goal and the ambition. That's the direction that I'm going for. Do you know what? Keely, will I still want to talk to you guys when I become PM? I'm going to try and do Join Joel every Thursday. I can't guarantee I'll be able to do it every Thursday because we don't know how life's going to move around, and there may be times where I can't do it, but I'm going to try as best as I can. 8 o'clock every Thursday. I think hopefully the audience will just grow. So yeah, why not? I'm gonna run the way I would do prime minister is the way that I run my companies to a degree. Very open, very honest, very engaged with my people, and bringing them all very much along the journey and wanting them to come along the journey. So I'm not really going to change it too much from that. Do you ever see yourself retiring? Nah, probably not. I mean, I'll always do something. I don't think. I think even. I think when you say retiring, do you mean retire from work? Because I don't work now. I could argue now. Well, I'm retired now because I don't foresee work, Laurie, in the same way as other people do. For me, I don't work. I do what I enjoy. This is kind of like my I wouldn't say it's a hobby, it's my love, it's my passion. So therefore, why would I ever retire from that? It'd be like playing the piano or playing sports or playing an instrument or whatever it is. Why you never stop doing that. So for me, work is very different to what I think most people have. Joel for Prime Minister. Yes, Rachel, that's right there. Yeah, we'll start a hashtag soon. Um, I'd love to buy Shepton Louise. That I would absolutely love to. That's a case of just financing it and the timings being right, really. Um, just bought Shrewsbury. What more do you want? Come on. I mean, give me a break. Come on. Let's have a quick look. Join PM Joel. No, it doesn't quite scan, Laura, but I'm sure there's something there. Um, Join Joel from 10 Downing Street. Love it. Love that one. Um, Teresa, my claim to fame with Joel is having my photo taken with Joel showing off Shrewsbury Prison face mask in 2020. That's genius. Yeah, I like that. Oh, do you know what? I knew these questions were coming in. This is one of the other reasons why I don't. It's not that I don't say it to people. I do. I'm quite happy to say what I plan, like the fact that I'd want to run PM. But then I get questions about, well, how would you deal with this? How would you deal with that? How would you deal with this? And unfortunately, some of those answers right now are, I don't know. And Jeff's just said, how would you cope with COVID-19? And you know what, Jeff? I can't give you a huge answer that's going to make you go, yeah, I would vote for that guy. Because the reality is, I've not had the opportunity to sit in the room from the early stages of this with the medical professionals, with the scientists, with the doctors, with the people that really understand this. I've not been able to have the conferences with the WHO and speak with other countries and other leaders and establish what they're doing and think about different courses of action and such like that. So it's really hard to say how I deal with it because I don't have enough background information to make a decision. And what I can tell you is that I don't think that being PM is about making lots and lots of hard decisions. That is part of it, but actually it's about bringing in the real areas of specialty. So bringing in people like, you take COVID for example, it's about bringing in the scientists that really understand this, about the biomechanics. It's about bringing in people that really understand diseases and pandemics, and people that really understand the science and the doctorate of it and the impact, and then bringing in people that understand the economics of it. I'm talking to real heavy detail here, and they analysing how every single thing's going to work, and then working with a team of different people to make the decision that's best for I say the majority, that's best for everybody throughout the country. And the trouble is, you've got so many different walks of life. One thing that I was really pleased about with COVID, and I think this is something really strong that came out of it, is how quickly you can actually house the homeless. It can happen so quickly. And I think that's a really good example of some of the things that you can, some of the positives that can come, and some of the things that we wouldn't necessarily put in place. But there's no right answer to sorting COVID because ultimately it's a killer. And I think we're probably all aware. And if you're not, I'm not sure how you wouldn't be. But the balance is human life and the economy. If you want the economy to survive and thrive, you're going to lose more human life. That's just the way it is. If you want to save more lives, the economy is going to suffer. And you end up weighing up money and life. And to me, that's quite a simple equation. Life always has to come before money because money's just money. It's not drastically important. And do the scientists and the experts understand it? I don't know. I've not sat in the rooms, and that's the challenge. But I certainly can promise you this: I would absolutely have fired Dominic Cummings, almost certainly. And I think, to be honest, after seeing it this week with the failure from last week of the app and how slow and poor that's been, I think I probably would have fired Matt Hancock as well, because it's, it's not that. There's some real big specialties in there in app development and stuff like that. But like I say, I'm not in it enough to be able to answer those questions at this stage. And that's why when I hit 47, it's going to take me 4 good years of really campaigning and getting into this process before I move into it. But yeah, it's about bettering everybody in the country and every single person. It's about being able to make their lives better. I think that's a key point. So anyway, I don't want to get too much into it. I'm not here to campaign at the moment. I'm here to not campaign. We'll do that in a few years. Let me have a quick look. Oh, Jules, I'm glad it was better for you in the mornings. Yeah, I'm so pleased with that. Oh, I fired something up now with people into that. And somebody was asking about Trump earlier. Again, do you know what? This is something that I'm again really strong about. As PM, when people ask me like, "What do you think about Trump?" As a prime minister, it is not my job to give you my personal opinion. It really isn't. I have not been elected to give my personal opinion on different people, on different instances, on different things that are happening. That's not the job. My job is to do the best for the people of the country. It's got nothing to do with my opinion. I might think this, but that doesn't mean that's the right way to go. And if that's the case, then we'll go the right way, not Joel's way. And I think that's such a key thing here, that it's not about any arrogance. It's not about that kind of I know I'm right, I know I'm best, which is kind of a Donald Trump way, I think, putting it loosely. But it's not about my personal opinions or my personal thoughts. It's about what's best for everybody, every single individual. And so much has to change. I mean, so much from top to bottom. You could just pick so many different subjects, so many problems, and also so many positives. So yeah, I think I'll be very careful about that as a sort of run up that it's not down to my personal opinion. I think and you said Trump. What's your own opinion? Do you know what? I never thought. I can remember saying years ago, what a world we live in, where Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected governor of California. He was the governor of the fourth biggest economy in the world at one point. And I was like, what a world we live in. I mean, that's mad, eh, man? That is mad. But I thought it was quite pleasing. And actually, I don't think he did a horrendous job, from what I understand. Um, but yeah, Donald Trump becoming president, I think he did it by accident, if I'm brutally honest. I don't think that was ever his intention. Um, but yeah, that's where we are. I think he's. You know what? I'm not sure I know enough about the way of life in America, because I think I don't think he's good. If I'm honest, I think he's dangerous. I think he's incredibly arrogant. I think he's very self-centered. I think you know, he's the best at everything he does, and I think he gives entrepreneurs a bad name. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't vote for him, if I'm brutally honest. I'm not convinced I would particularly want to vote for Biden, but I wouldn't vote for Trump. And I think that's part of the issue with the American system is that side or that side. There's kind of nothing in nothing else. And I think that's one thing that's good for our system. Um, but yeah, I think he'll get re-elected. If I'm honest, I do think he'll get re-elected, and loads of people are telling me at the moment it won't. It's not going to happen. It's going to be Joe Biden. But as we saw Clinton, what Trump is he's a pit bull, and you send him to a dogfight, he generally is going to come out on top. And I think that's probably what will happen this time. Is he will. Um, I think he'll probably win. So, but yeah, I'm not a big fan, particularly honest. Um, but yeah, that's it. I wasn't a great big fan of forgetting names now. That's the thing. I've had a cup of tea. That's me done. But no, I wasn't a great big fan of Jeremy Corbyn. I wasn't a particularly big fan of Boris Johnson. I wasn't a particularly big fan of Theresa May. None of them have really kind of stuck out for me. So yeah, that's part of it again there. Um, but I think a lot of the system's broken, and again, one of the things that I've come back to is I think a lot of people, not everyone, this is a big bit sweeping, so don't take me on a sweeping statement side, but unfortunately I think a lot of people try and push for prime minister for their careers, or for the benefit of themselves or the benefit of their friends, or there's a lot of that in government. I think we're all aware of that, about contracts being given to private firms where other people in the party might have shares, or husbands or wives who've got shares, or I went to school with somebody that's got shares, all that kind of stuff, which all of us hate. We absolutely hate, because it looks dodgy as fuck and really underhand. Um, and I would want to be a prime minister that is not swayed by any of that. That it doesn't matter to me. It makes no difference to me, or I wouldn't take into consideration the impact on any of my friends or business partners or anybody I've connected with anywhere, good or bad, as to whether this person or this company want a contract or that company want a contract. It's got to be completely independent. And I don't think it is. And I think that's, again, another part of the problem for the system, that people are driven, prime ministers can be driven by thinking about what's best for themselves down the line, what decisions they make and how that's going to affect them. And you can't have that. You've got to be completely and utterly not in it for yourself whatsoever. And I don't think Trump is. So I think that's part of the problem. I think that's the same potentially with Boris Johnson. And not just him, I think it's the same with a number of MPs on all sides of the scale. That they're always kind of considering what's sort of in it for them somewhere along the lines. And yeah, that's why I'd like to spend the next 10 years doing what I want to do and building up to a point where I don't have to worry about that. To be in a position where you don't have to worry about a contract and how that may or may not affect your personal wealth or anything like that. And Teresa's just said it there, I don't trust any MP. I think that's really sad. And I totally get it. I totally understand why. And I can totally see why a lot of people don't trust MPs. And to be honest, I kind of feel the same about a lot of them. I just think that's a really sad state of affairs, where us as the people of the country that put these people in power through our voting system, but yet we don't trust them. Like, do you know what I mean? That's so worrying. Would you I'm trying to think of a good example, a good analogy, but let's put it really close to home. Would you date or get married to a man or a woman that you didn't trust? Like, would you let somebody you didn't trust into your home to live with you, to be close to, would you let somebody you didn't trust? Would you spend lots of time with somebody you didn't trust? Would you ask them to look after your finances or anything along those lines? And of course you're not going to. So why do we put people we don't trust into the most powerful positions that we have in our country? And to me, that just seems so crazy, that it's like, I don't trust that guy, but yet he's in one of the most powerful positions in the country. And I think that's where the system's quite broken. So, but like I said, there's lots of areas where it works. So yeah. Yeah, and Dennis, I think you're right there. Dennis has just said it doesn't. They're just out for themselves. I think that's. I don't think that's the case for all of them. I think it is the case for some, but the problem is that's the perception. And until you change the perception, personally, I think MPs should get a much lower salary. I think they should work on a much lower salary, because I think you should become an MP because you want to do good and you want to change the world for the better, not because you get a certain salary. And I think if you change the salary cap on it, you're suddenly going to find a big difference about the types of people that do and don't apply for the roles. So yeah, and I would prefer to have a board. I'm going to finish on this. A board, sorry, look at me, business sense. I would prefer to have, Jesus Christ, I would prefer to have my senior ministers and my cabinet as a combination of people from different parties and different backgrounds. So I would want to have some people from the left, some people from the right, some people from the middle, and across the board. I would want to pull together my own independent board almost. Cabinet. Jesus, we're gonna have to work on that, because I think you'll get a better structure, and then lots of different independent bodies to research and to look in different areas. So yeah. Laurie, I think that's a fair point. Once trust is broken, you can never get it back, in my honest opinion. I don't think that's wrong. I think that, however, I think people can build up confidence. I think they could maybe not get your trust back necessarily, but I think they could build up your confidence in them and in their ability to do things that will help and support you and other people. So I think that's kind of that. Yeah, Keely, we have to pick the best of a bad bunch. Oh, what a sad, what an awful world we live in. Do you know what I mean? I totally agree with that. I totally get it. And again, I found that with the last election, really torn. I was really, really torn. Financially and from a business perspective, it would have been far more sensible for me to vote Conservative. But from the socialism aspect of it, and the way I was brought up and such, I should be voting for Labour. So yeah, and I kind of sat there going, picking the best of a bad bunch here. And I think that's really difficult to do. And again, what a sad world we live in, where we're having to pick from the best of bad bunch. I mean, it's not X Factor, for fuck's sake. It's not bloody I'm a Celebrity. It's not a reality TV show. These are the people that run and govern our country. These are the people that will make and pass laws which affect the way that we live our lives. And the fact that we're picking what we see as the best of a bad bunch is such a sad state of affairs to be into. And it's been, I think to a degree, it's been constructed that way. When was the last time that we saw a Prime Minister that didn't go to a private school or wasn't part of that club? Do you know what I mean? And we've only ever had 2 female Prime Ministers. That's ridiculous. So yeah, anyway, look, that's me getting off my high horse now. I spent far too long talking about being Prime Minister. That wasn't my plan this evening, it really wasn't. I just thought I would share the part of the plan. Glenn, have you just joined us? Have you literally just arrived, Glenn? Because if you have, I'm about to finish. So I'll take a card to me. Okay, guys, it has been good fun once again. I've really enjoyed that, and to be honest, it was quite nice for me as well, because like I said, I do talk to people I know, and I say about running for Prime Minister, and I say sort of about the goals, and it's funny because you say to people, I'm going to build my company to 100 million, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, and I'm going to run for Prime Minister, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Whereas I would say getting to 100 million is much harder than that, but for me it's nice because I get to put it out there, and I get to go, that's what I'm going to do. And then people can laugh at it or join it or believe it or not believe it as much as they like, but it's actually quite nice to just throw it out there. So proper counselling session for me today. And as Laurie says, yeah, if they mess with me, I can just chuck them in jail. I used that quote today, believe it or not. So I'll finish with this one very quickly. So chatting to somebody about somebody we're going to do some partnership work with. I'm going to buy some hopefully some laser equipment off them, some laser tag equipment to start running some laser games at Shepton and Shrewsbury. Having a conversation with them. There was a bit of falling out that they'd had with their suppliers, nothing to do with us, but they sort of had. And I basically turned and said, look, it's got to be all good, because basically you guys sort this out, because nobody messes around with us. And they sort of looked at me and went, people don't mess with us. I said, we've got a prison. In fact, we've got 2. So people just don't piss about with us, basically. And he was like, okay. So that's the way it is. So I'm going to leave you on that one, that yes, we have prisons. Just having a quick look. Cheers, Stephen. Thank you. Oh, that's interesting, Tracy. I like that. The road to hell paved with good intentions. I think they mean to do well. I think some of them do, not all. Cool. All right, look, some good stuff to happen next week as well, because I can talk about some really positive things that have actually come out the back of COVID, which I think is really good to recognise that there has been some positives. We can talk about that a bit next week. Graham will be down in Shepton. The production, we're getting really kind of towards the end of the dressing, so that's exciting, and hopefully they will have decided to make a release statement about what they're doing, and I can talk so much more about it when that happens. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure that will happen at some point in the coming weeks, but I don't know when. And I will promise I will try and find a time that I can do a nighttime live with Stacey and Lauren. So cool. Thank you very much, guys, and I will speak to you all soon. So that's it for another week.